Hello, my name is Davison Koenig. I am the Executive Director and Curator of the Couse-Sharp Historic Site in Taos, New Mexico. We are a 2-acre campus that is the home and studios of E.I. Couse and J.H. Sharp, two of the founders of the Taos Society of Artists. And we are standing here in the Couse Garden where many of the TSA gatherings were held. Joseph Henry Sharp was the first to visit Taos in 1893. While studying in Paris, he regaled fellow artists Ernest Blumenschein and Bert Phillips with descriptions of the land and people of Taos Valley and the artistic potential. Embarking on a fateful wagon journey in 1898, Ernest Blumenschein and Bert Phillips discovered for themselves the wonder and attraction of Taos Valley. What they found was a verdant valley with varied topography, from the depths of the Rio Grande gorge to the heights of the Sangre de Cristo mountains. But more importantly, they found a culturally diverse community, with the native people of Taos Pueblo, the Hispano descendants of Spanish colonizers, and the more recent Anglo settlers. They also discovered the magic Taos light, unmatched in its clarity and depth. In other words, an artist's paradise. They also benefited from and appreciated the openness found to outside cultures. Taos was a center of trade long before the Spanish entrada. Besides the commercial trade came the exchange of ideas, thus fertile ground for artists. This is the home they found in Taos. We are now stepping into the Couse studio, which was built in 1909 and remains much as it was at the time of the artist's death in 1936. What began as a seasonal pilgrimage to Taos became the permanent home for the artist. And I believe it is this distinction that makes the Taos Art Colony unique among its contemporaries and what makes the work of the Taos artists so profound. Phillips wrote to Blumenschein during his first weeks in Taos, "There is scarcely a day but at least 2 or 3 Indians are here, and I really like them and enjoy having them around. Their friendship is sincere, and they appreciate the way we treat them as equals." Slowly word spread, and the Taos Art Colony was born. In 1915, 6 artists formed the Taos Society of Artists with the shared vision of creating a uniquely American art with the expressed goal of preserving the native arts. The people they were portraying were their neighbors, friends, and sometimes even family. Ben Lujan, Couse's favorite model, who helped Virginia Couse build and maintain the garden, became known as Ben Couse, and his great-grandchildren still carry the Couse middle name to this day. A singular brilliance of the TSA was their self-promotion through traveling exhibitions, which they called circuit shows. Realizing they were stronger together, the artists curated, organized, and shipped exhibitions around the country, leveraging the connections of the whole group. Imagine if you had been steeped in the Hudson River School, walking into an exhibition filled with light, Taos light, filled too with color, mystery, and native and Hispano people as the subject and figuring prominently in the foreground. This amounted to a new, exciting vision of America. The TSA weren't the only painters of the period, with a refreshingly colorful palette depicting the West, but they were doing it as a group, with a shared vision, and a unique lived perspective of the West. During this period, Americans' exposure to Native Americans was largely through popular culture depictions of a mythic vanishing West. The TSA, on the other hand, depicted the integrity of Native people in activities of daily life, domestic tranquility, agrarian work, contemplative moments, and ceremonial obligations. Quite simply, their depictions of the West deeply influenced people's perceptions, conscious or unconscious, of the West and of Native people. Henry Sharp writes, "I try to present the Indian as he is, mentally as well as physically, not as ephemeral fiction has delighted to picture him, but as a human being endowed with intelligence, swayed by nobility of thought, animated by craftiness, or calmed by reveries of bygone days. The Taos Society of Artists disbanded in 1927, having largely outlived its usefulness, as the artists had become household names and their town synonymous with great art. Taos became a draw for collectors and cultural tourists alike, those willing to brave hardship to travel to our remote and exotic locale. Some came only for a season, but others stayed. Artists and intellectuals from around the world would meet in this unlikely cauldron of creativity, to talk art theory, to critique each other's work, and to challenge themselves and their peers. The TSA were well aware of their prestige and influence. The Pueblo models became not merely passive sitters, but agents of social change through their depictions and, most importantly, their relationships with the artists. They came for the awe-inspiring Taos Valley, the mercurial quality of light, the colorful native pageantry, and a rhythm of life dictated by changing seasons and long-standing tradition. By pooling their skills and resources, what these 12 men and women achieved together far outweighs their significance as individual artists. The TSA opened the door for all the artists that followed and created a model of what a determined, competitive, highly talented group with a shared vision could accomplish.